Taverns are the heart to so many adventures, but turning that idea into something that your players can actually interact with, that's where it gets tricky. But join me today and I'll walk you through my step-by-step process for how I created this tavern, both inside and out, and how you can do the same for your players. Now the perfect foundation to any of our builds here is going to be our XPS foam. So I just took an offcut of some that I had left over from another build and trimmed that down to a size that seemed about appropriate. I ended up using a 10-inch by 8-inch rectangle for that, and then just went through and marked it down. Now originally I did leave this as this thickness because I wanted to make it also interactable with my dungeon tiles that I've made in previous videos. But if I were to redo this project again, I think I would change that and just make it a thin layer that I use for the walls as well, which is just that foam board core. Overall, I'm so happy with this, and it gave me more room to do the brickwork on the outside, but this is how we proceeded, and if I were to redo it, I would do it a little bit different. So, as you can see here, I'm just taking the pencil to define those lines a little bit better on those wooden planks, and then going through and marking those out in a repeatable pattern across the entire floor. Now there's lots of ways you could do this and lots of thicknesses for your planks too. Again, I kept the same pattern that I used on my wooden tile side for my dungeon tiles so that they could be interacted with and interlocked to create either larger pieces or just build right into it and all look consistent. Now you'll see here that I'm just using my utility knife just to create that initial cut and then going back through with a pencil to help redefine those lines. You want to make sure that your blade is nice and sharp for that so you're not risking tearing or ripping any of these foam pieces. But after you've done that, you get a really nice compelling wood grain floor pattern. Now to actually get the texture for that wood grain, we're just going to take our brass wire brush and go over that multiple times to create that texture. You also want to be careful with this, not to push too hard or do this too many times or it will rip and tear your foam as well, but you want to do it enough that you actually get a nice, compelling, deep groove texture. That way our paint can grab onto it later on. Now for your longtime viewers, you'll see that I'm using my very trusty method for scale, which is just eyeballing it, of course. And then we'll be cutting those panels off to create a scale that just looks like it makes the roof just high enough for this to be plausible. For this, we'll be using just the dollar store foam core that we can easily cut down to the right size and create all the panels that we need for that. Now to texture these and get them ready, we're just going to peel off that paper on one side, or both sides, and then we're going to roll our aluminum foil over that to create that nice stucco texture. Now for the actual layout, I would kind of play with this and see how you like it. I went ahead and marked off everywhere that the panels would be going onto the base and 3D printed a door as well as some other pieces you'll see later on to actually go into this. So all of it was based off of the size of the door, and then I just went through and marked up how high I want my bricks to go as well as the size of the trim that I want around the door. And then from there I was able to just create some pieces of wood planks that I got from the Proxxon cutter and started cutting those and gluing them in place. Now there's lots of ways you could go about this, and you absolutely do not have to have a hot wire table to build your own things, and for the longest time all of my builds were done by hand, but this definitely does speed it up once you're doing a lot of these wooden details or bricks with this Tudor style. Now I will say that the more planks you use, the longer it will take for the painting process, but we will get to that later on. So it just became a matter of cutting all these into place and gluing them there as well. I did want to make sure that I cut them thick enough that whenever I put these bricks on here, that they will leave a nice size difference so that you see some nice depth and contrast there. Now you'll also notice that these are the smallest bricks I have produced on this channel for any project so far. And to get that texture, I'll just throw them in a coffee can with some rocks and shake them up pretty good. Now to actually glue them on, we just use Mod-Podge this time because hot glue would be way too difficult to actually get those in place, and this gives us a little bit of working time with these. So I'll just take each of those and slide them into place. And the nice thing about this, even though we used the hot wire cutter to make these bricks, they were not the same by any standards. So you do get some differences in size and texture and shape, so that you do kind of have to be careful how they line up, but you'll see that it's not a perfect line, and especially on some of these other pieces right here, that there's some waves and gaps and everything else. And that was an issue I had to figure out as we went. So you'll see how I overcame that shortly. Now, before we continue, we need to trim off all of the excess so that all of this can sit flush against the mat and the table that we're playing on. So I just redrew those lines that I originally had there and then went back through with a utility knife and trimmed those back down to the right scale. So I was being very careful to make sure I didn't overcut anything or cut through there, as well as to get a nice straight line so that this would sit flush across the floor there. Now, to deal with how I messed up the actual pattern on that bottom row of bricks, I went ahead and just made some wooden strips to cover that up. you'll see that that is a very efficient and non-intrusive way to fix that mistake. But I'd say a big part of what you learn when doing this terrain and hobby craft in general is how to make mistakes and how to fix those mistakes. And by the time you get to the end of your builds, you're going to realize that they're not as big of mistakes as you think they might be. And if you're afraid of making mistakes, then you kind of just got to jump in there and start crafting, because you'll end up surprising yourself with what you create. Now, to hook these all together and to get it all connected, I'm just going to make some thick wooden beams to go in the corners, making sure that they're on the exterior wall so that they line up straight on the inside. Now, once that has all been done, it is finally time to Mod-Podge and paint these. And for that, we're just going to use our black Mod-Podge and give it a nice heavy coat. Now, I considered using the spray primer for these, but decided that I'm just going to use the black acrylic paint, and then we went through on the stone. So I'm just going to sponge on the yellow paint, followed by the red afterwards, and that'll create that nice warm depth below the surface of our stones that really add to a nice realistic look. Now, start doing the overbrushing for that stone. We're going to take just black and white to make a nice neutral gray, and add a little bit of nutmeg just to bring the warmth up just a little bit. So from here, we'll very carefully go over the top of that, trying not to cover up too much of it, but putting down a pretty heavy coat on there. The brush isn't wet here, but we wipe off a lot of it as well. Now, to do our layers and incremental lightens up, we're just going to be adding white to our base color. This will make sure that it's all kind of in that same color palette and that it all flows together nicely. Now, to finish this look off, we're just going to take white and very lightly brush over the top of that just to grab these individual bricks and that texture. This is always my favorite step with the bricks. It really just makes it pop, and you can really see that stone look underneath it. Now, for the walls, we had to do a few coats where I just kind of made this yellowish cream color and just started carefully painting that into each of these. And I think by the end of it, I probably did 3 or 4 coats. And one more time after I had got all the wood done, I went through and did it again to clean it all up. But for the wood itself, we're going to start with just a nice heavy coat of burnt umber. And the more careful you are at this stage, the more time it saves you later on. As you can see, I never quite figured out how to color inside the lines, so I had to make some more of the cream color and go through and repaint those very carefully with a small brush. Now, if you need any of these supplies, be sure to check my links down below. Now, once we had all that done, it was time to add a little bit of texture to these boards, so we're just going to overbrush some nutmeg over the top of that, which will really bring out that wood grain and highlights and add some nice depth to it. So, one last test fit before we glue it all together here. And then we'll just hot glue that in place, because that'll be much faster than trying to do the Mod-Podge or any other glue at this point. So we'll just make sure to do a nice heavy bead in the corners and along the base here. And then make sure that is nice and secure. Now, if you look real close, you'll see that some of the tops of these boards don't line up perfectly, and that is just fine with me. Now, for the door itself, we're just going to add a little bit of the metallic paint to that to define that a little bit more. And then to actually finish off this build, we're just going to use some washes. And this will be the stage that really adds the weathering and history to your build. This is going to put the dust and grime and dirt all over your beautiful work that you've been working so hard on. It'll also really fill in those textures of that stucco, as well as really highlight the highlight of the nutmeg on that wooden planks. But once that dries, you have a completed tavern. Now, I've also 3D printed several elements for the inside to fill up the tavern, but now you have everything you need to start building your own tavern to start telling your stories for your players. I hope that you enjoyed this video. It was a blast to make this, and I can't wait to see how this gets used in the future. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe for more. That stuff really does help out the channel. Thanks for watching.